Hey everybody, welcome to the Going Ballistic podcast. I have no idea what number this is anymore. I should probably check that out. But of course, we're back with Jason. Hey Jason, how you doing, man?
Good, man. Doing real good. Just working, working, working. That's all I seem to do. Like
I
everybody else.
hear you. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So, what's new? You get a chance to go out shooting again?
No, I didn't get to go out shooting this weekend. I
Mhm.
kind of stuck around, did some house stuff, ordered some more ammo, got my new spotting scope in. So I'm dying to go try out everything.
All right, so tell us about the spotting scope. What do you think about it so far?
So far, I mean, I really like it. I've just kind of looked at it briefly in the neighborhood, but I couldn't see more than a couple hundred yards with it. But it's super clear.
Is it good?
Uh, yeah, no, I'm so far really happy. I want to get some decent legs for it now, but coming along, man. I've about got everything set up to where I can start making this happen.
Good, good. Um, yeah, you're buying all the equipment for sure.
And that's one thing I will fair warn people who are getting into the long distance shooting thing. Gets a little spendy quick.
It can, it can. Yeah, you haven't gone too crazy yet. I mean, it's still an expensive hobby to get into, but you've been able to get reasonable purchases so far, right?
Yeah. No, I think I've done real well.
Good,
I
good.
mean,
You know, you're
all
mentioning something that you went out shooting last week to me before we started here that you wanted to cover that you thought about after the fact. What was that?
yeah, spindrift. So I was thinking about after we went out, I never accounted for it. I never even because we were shooting at 500 and 700, and we talked about it briefly before that spindrift probably doesn't become a big issue until after about 800.
Mm-hmm.
But I still didn't account for it.
Mm.
I forgot all about it.
It's easy to forget. Now, the good news is your wind calls probably were further off than Spindrift would have mattered.
Right?
But yeah, I there's that kind of a mental checklist. I go overboard sometimes trying to tell people how easy it is, and anyone can get in long range shooting, and all you got to do is focus on these fundamentals and these 20 other things. So I can get that.
Right?
You know, it makes me wonder: should I put together like a like cheat sheet, a little card, like to go through, like a little laminated card of like a firing solution or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, I imagine it kind of comes second nature the more you do it, but just going through everything and thinking about it, I was like, crap, man, I didn't even adjust for that.
Yeah,
And like you said, the wind was so crazy anyway, but still, it's a factor.
yeah, it's gonna make an effect, and that's why it's nice to have a spotter too. You can have a spotter worry about one thing completely, especially when the spotter's been doing it for a while. And so the spotter can do nothing but focus on just being the spotter, and the shooter can do the same thing, just worry about being the shooter. So we already have
Right?
people popping up on the comments here. Good evening, guys. Thanks for joining and watching it with us. D-Man asked, speaking of Spendy, how's that fix? I mentioned that last week at the fixed rifle. It's awesome. I mean, I must have dry fired the thing 500 or more times by the time I finally got to the range on Friday with it. You're just sitting there playing with it in the office and getting ready to take it out to do some real good testing because I had shot it a little bit at the beginning. And it shoots great, but it's a light rifle. So I should say it shoots great for a light rifle. It's got a little bit of a kick to it. That's not only due to its lightweight, that's also due to the fact that the muzzle brake isn't much of a muzzle brake. What they put on there, it's really cool. They call it the cherry bomb, I believe, muzzle brake. And it's probably, if I had to guess, 20 to 30% as effective as a muzzle brake, as a normal muzzle brake. So, I mean, it takes some of the recoil out. I would think it would work better than just a bare barrel, but it's not that effective at all. It's probably better just as a silencer mount, which I think is it's kind of the whole point of its purpose is that it's going to be a good silencer mount for you. But if you really want to brake, which I do, I think in taking the thing off and just putting on a brake that I think performs a little bit better and takes some of the recoil out, especially because it's so lightweight. But I put a 2.5 to 8 power scope on it, a little Leupold Mark IV, and shot variety ammo through it. I mean, it shot great. It's chambered tight. It's chambered like a match grade rifle. So some of the rounds that might have been a little oversized actually had a harder time closing the bolt getting on there. So it's not like a commercial gun where there's so much slop in there that any cartridge will fit, but you don't have the accuracy. So it's kind of pros and cons to it. I still think it's just a cool rifle. I think they knocked it out of the park on the overall design and the functionality of it. So I think it's a winner. It was a lot of fun. One thing is the AR-10 magazines, the PMags they have for it are the standard PMags for AR-10. They're not what the designation is M118 or the 118LR PMags. So M118LR is the military designation to the 175 grain 308 bullet. So the PMags, they make them that have a larger internal capacity length, and they designate them as 118LR magazines. So like people know that means the longer cartridge. And I think it gives you like another, I don't know, 100th, 10,000ths of an inch. That's 100th, right? So it's a little bit of length that can give you a little bit more overall length. And some of my reloads that I use, Jason, I couldn't get in the magazine. They were just the tips on the horn of the bullets were sticking out slightly so long they were jamming up against the front of the magazine. I was like, well, that's kind of weird. You're doing kind of a precision rifle one. So I don't know if that's a complaint, just a note. Steve says I look tired or exhausted. I am exhausted, man. I have been full bore Mayday safety. It has been meetings with companies. It has been trying to get app development. It has been trying to get all sorts of stuff going. It's all worth it, but I have definitely been burning the candle at both ends here lately. So thanks for telling me I look tired. So,
well, what kind of groups did you shoot with that gun?
I don't know, a minute or better. I was shooting at steel. So I just, at the 100-yard range, just shot, I bore sighted it, shot around to confirm where it was at, and then I ran it out to 500 to have fun with it. So whatever I shot, I'd sit there at like a 500-yard silhouette, threw a few rounds at it, and they were within a minute, and then went to another target at 200 and then 300, and I was just shooting a smorgasbord of ammo. So I was shooting some of the SIG ammo they had, some Federal Gold Medal match, some actually M118LR for the military rounds, and some of my reloads. So I was kind of jumping around. Just really wanted to see what the different rounds would do through it and get some time on the trigger. Yeah, it's not a target rifle. It's not. It's just so light. I think it's an awesome all-around rifle. If anything, I think I called it to somebody a modern scout rifle. If you don't know if you've ever seen the scout rifle concept, which is a Jeff Cooper gunsight kind of concept of a short-barreled 308 magazine fed. That is kind of a grab and go. Red Dawn happens can work for any purpose rifle. I think it's great for that. So it's a lot of fun.
Well,
so we have a comment from Bobby. Bobby says, Ryan, Jason, I need your help. I was zeroing my RPR to 100 yards, and a couple of guys at the range were wondering why I wasn't zeroing to 200 yards. Can you explain this? I have no idea why they're wondering that, Bobby. Just kidding. I know what you're asking. Why were you not zeroing at 200? I don't know. You could have zeroed at 200. I like to zero at 100 because that's a great baseline for most of modern cartridges we're going to be using for long-range shooting, in that you'll never have to adjust below 0. So if you zeroed at 200, in order to hit at 100, you'd have to come down 2 minutes. So I don't like doing that. I like having 0 truly be my 0. Then every distance closer and further is an upward elevation. And I know a lot of guys say, well, I zero for 200 because it's better for hunting. Well, great. But if you have a precision rifle and you're going to go hunting, just turn it up 2 minutes, click, click, and now you're set up for hitting at 200 yards.
Right.
So just because you zeroed at 100 doesn't mean you can't be shooting or be set up for any other distance. That's all.
Well, and for me, it's harder to shoot consistently at 200 than 100.
Mm-hmm.
It's plain and simple. I can shoot better groups at 100 than I can at 200.
Well, we always zeroed at 200 in the military, but we would zero at 200 and then make sure the turret said the 2. And when we were done, we'd turn it back down to 1. So we would zero, but we made sure that the turret was lined up at the 2 because we had bullet drop compensating reticles. Right. So we would, so you're still getting 100-yard zero. We just shot at 200 yards to confirm. Yeah, it is harder. That's why we would do it, though, because at 200 yards, it's going to open up a little bit and you can see a little bit of a trend one direction or the other. And you're getting at the distance, though, where wind is going to start having an effect, but not that much of an effect. So if you're really worried about wind, just shoot at 100. But it was good something to do there. So it's to each their own. You don't have to worry about it. Stephen Woods asked, how effective is a 243 Winchester for long-range shooting? It's awesome. I'd say about 5-10 years ago, definitely 5, it really started getting a pickup as people started realizing it could do a lot better at long range. That's where all these 6mm and 6.5mm bullets are doing great, is people figured out that a faster, smaller bullet works. So Yeah. In the shape of human asked, how do I balance FFL work with a full-time job? How do you accept the firearms if you're not there? Oh, great question. One is you can just have them hold them at the depot. So you can just have a deal with FedEx and UPS that they hold the firearms for you. You go pick them up whenever they come in. That's an easy way to do it. The other is you can use another business or a nearby business to be a mailing address for you, and they can hold the packages for you. You can go pick them up. There's a lot of options for you. What were you going to say, Jason?
Oh, no. I was just tying into what you were talking about on the 100 to 200.
Mm-hmm.
We used, yes, the 100 is easier for me. And now that I have, being able to adjust the reticle, I think the 100 is a way to go. Although, like you said, for hunting, we used to always sight in at 200 because that was kind of our up and down variant for shooting an animal between 100 and 300. You didn't have to compensate anything. Your
exactly
kill
right.
zone would still be within that circle from
Right.
100 to 300. So I guess it boils down to what is your plans for the rifle that you're sighting in.
So now I still would always say I 0 to 100, but I might put it back in the case, or I might walk around with it on the setting to hit at 200.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if you have a scope that doesn't adjust, of course you got to pick one or the other. But now you guys, when you're talking about a Ruger precision rifle, you're probably talking about a scope that you can adjust for different distances. So that's what I would do, especially if you have one of the scopes that has the graduations in it and you want to be able to hold for different distances. You might as well start at 100 so every adjustment is down versus the other way around.
I think a lot of those scopes come with their instructions saying to start at 100, and that's kind of how those graduations are set up anyway.
Correct.
If you read the instructions.
Yeah, some don't. Like I have some Boone and Crockett reticles for hunting. Well, they're typically hunting scopes. Like they're not meant to be adjusted between targets. Yes, they're not going to be as precise of an adjustment anyway in these hunting rifle scopes. And so they'll say if you're in this class of cartridge, 0 at 200. If you're in this class, 0 to 150. So they break them down to like the Magnum cartridges or things like that because they have figured out the curve. It's kind of cool. But yeah, just look at your manual. Don't stress about it. So, Jason, do you know who Kyle Lamb is from Viking Tactics?
I do not.
All right, you go check it out. Hopefully the listeners know who Kyle Lamb is. He released the podcast episode that I did with him this morning. It was 2.5 hours long. He and I just talked about guns and life and politics and everything. And we were laughing about it through the podcast, but just kept going. So if you guys don't do it yet, you've got to go check out the Viking Tactics podcast. I've been listening to a lot of it just on military leadership or business leadership. He talks to some amazing leaders in the industry, some great, military guys. And he's got a pretty cool way of bringing out the best in people in the conversation. So I've actually been learning a lot from it. And I listened to my whole podcast this morning, which is weird listening to yourself while you're working, but it was kind of cool. So you guys need to go check it out because I'd really appreciate the support, showing him the downloads and stuff like that. Rocket FFL has really taken off now that people are kind of panicking about guns a little bit again.
Oh, man.
And all I can tell you is I told you so. Every single one of you I warned a couple months ago, you need to get it now. And I constantly, I think I remember, you should remember a couple of months, 2 to 3 months ago, people were saying, oh, this is the worst time to get an FFL. This is the worst time. And my comment back was, you think Noah waited till it was raining to build the Ark?
Right.
I don't know if you remember that at all. Yeah, guys online were just trying to beat me up left and right over it. Like, are you kidding me? Worst time in the industry. Nobody can sell anything. We're in a slump. And I kept trying to say, yes, we are, which is, well, actually, I disagreed we are. But even if we are, that's exactly when you should go into business, when things are cheap.
Yep.
When you can get into business now. And I just kept trying to say it, and everyone disagreed. Well, guess what? I hope you started 2 months ago because that means you'll be getting your FFL this week. It's not too late to start, but you better hurry like today or this week because so many people are coming in and getting it. You don't want to be behind the curve and miss it. So it's interesting seeing that pick up for everybody. The ammo sales, that's a big deal. People are starting to panic buy, magazines, ammunition, firearms. Have you seen any of that, Jason?
Oh, yeah, it's crazy, especially ever since the whole Dick's Sporting Good and Walmart. And rumor has it, I guess a kid's trying to sue them right now for
good.
I don't know if you've heard about that, but
yeah,
kid tried to go buy a rifle. They denied him. As far as I know, he's taking them both to court or trying to.
He is, yeah. So you heard that Cabela's is not changing their policy, right? That they are still selling rifles to 18-year-olds?
Yes.
And you know
And
why that is?
no, I don't know why, but
It's because they're not dicks.
well, look at Palmetto State too. What they released was awesome. I
What
love
do
their
they do?
whole. Oh, they just posted a thing saying they're not going to change any of their policies. This is why. They even got into the whole, when drunk drivers kill someone, we don't ban cars. This is ridiculous. They had a whole letter. It was a really well written letter
Oh, good.
that they posted in regards.
That's
So
awesome.
kudos to them. Yeah.
Yeah, good for them. I can't believe we're having an issue here. So Larry Keane, as I even mentioned on the Viking Tactics podcast from this morning, who's just someone I really look up to, had always said, the perfect lawsuit for gun control is going to be the 20-year-old combat veteran, or even better, his wife while the 20-year-old goes to deploy, the 20-year-old wife going to buy a handgun, for defense of her home and getting denied, and arguing how that they shouldn't be denying her the ability to self-defense and this and that, how to be perfect. And this is even better because before the military guys could get the rifle. So it wasn't a rifle issue because if they were 18, they can get a rifle anyway. Now that this happened, I didn't even think about it, but Larry had been saying that 5 years ago. That's the perfect lawsuit. So this kid knew what he was doing. I mean, this kid did not go in and try to buy and then left upset and decided to sue, right? He went in. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty darn convinced that he went in with the intent to have a lawsuit, right? Because you have to be turned down before you can sue. You
Right.
can't just sue hypothetically. So it's just too perfect that he went in, tried to get it. They said no, and it's a great idea for a lawsuit. I don't know about federally if it would uphold, because you're allowed to discriminate against people on their age. You are in certain circumstances, and even their gender. Naturally, women doesn't allow men in there. They discriminate against men. You can do it if you for certain reasons, and so federally, it may not hold as much water because the federal government is allowed to say, yeah, we're going to discriminate against you. If you're not 20, or if you're only 20, you can't have a handgun. That's the law right now. Again, I said that might be a good test, but we'll see. But now in Oregon state law is what he's actually suing under. Apparently, Oregon state has a law that talks about how you cannot discriminate based on age in public establishments. And so pretty smart that he's doing that here. And I hope they get burned for it. I hope they learn a lesson.
It'll be interesting. Oh, I meant to ask too. What did you get banned from? I didn't even get to look into. I saw your post.
I forgot to write that down for something to talk about. I got banned from AR15.com.
Why? What happened? I mean, I've been dying to hear this story.
They said, get out of here. Well, the problem is there's no good story. It's actually really, I wish it was a good story because the why I got banned is more embarrassing. So the lesson here is at first I'm like, what? I got banned? Are you kidding me? So they said, if you'd like to appeal this, right back. So I wrote back. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Like, no. In the post it says I got a warning and apparently I didn't listen to the warning. So now this time they're banning me. I'm like, what warning are you guys talking about? I didn't get anything. And they came back and they're like, here, this clearly proves you were warned. And they had a copy and paste of some language. I'm like, had I received that would prove I was warned. But just because you copied and pasted words doesn't mean I got it. And they said, well, our system's automated message system must have gotten it to you. I'm like, okay. So now it's not, you think I'm a liar. Now you just think I'm stupid. Because if you gave me a warning not to do this, that I would just ignore it and do it again. Like, to me, I would rather have just been called the liar. Like, I seriously wrote back. I'm like, so now you guys are saying that apparently I'm too stupid to follow a warning. Thanks a lot. And then after all it settled, I stopped and thought about it again and went, what am I doing? I don't have enough time in my day anyway. I go on AR15.com once a month, to answer, and it's to answer someone's question usually, to do something to help out with something. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why am I even bothered by this? This is a blessing. I'm going to go put this on my resume that AR15.com banned me. So yeah, I've been officially banned. Now, what I did was I mentioned Rocket FFL.
And that's why you got banned.
Yep. Someone posted a question saying, hey, does anyone know of any distributors that will work with home-based FFLs? I just got my FFL. So my response was, congrats. I don't know about anybody else, but Lipsy's has made an agreement that they'll let anyone who got their home-based FFL through Rocket FFL to be a dealer, no questions asked. And I didn't even put a link to Rocket FFL, like, because that would be really shady, right? You put a link in there to try and get the, people to forward to it. That's just the sentence I said. No links, no nothing. And they said they had warned me. Apparently their system sent a warning, or they sent it, or whatever, that said I better not mention Rocket FFL again, like, for marketing it. All right, whatever, guys. Like, again, it was one of those, it took me a couple minutes to realize that's a good thing. I really should not be on there. And if I am on there, I shouldn't be doing it for free. So
right.
Okay, guys, I will go play back in my sandbox, and you guys can play in yours, and more power to you.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I've never even been on the website before, but I saw your post on Facebook, and I'm like, banned? What the hell did you get banned from?
Well, I took the screenshot of it and posted the screenshot. I just saw nothing but like rows and rows of advertiser buttons. Yeah. And I looked at them, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, why was I even a part of this place? Like, that has, like, this is, the way that they're making money with all that. It just looks like a whole bunch of the chaos. So anyway, someone asked me on here, to get started in long range, would I build a 224 Valkyrie or start with 308, 65, 6.0 bolt? I would not do a 224 Valkyrie. I'm not that impressed with that cartridge yet. I mean, maybe it'll take off. I would go with something that you can find in a store. I mean, nowadays you might as well just do 6.5 Creedmoor because it's so popular. If you want to do it. It doesn't have to be a bolt gun, though. You could do a 6.5 gas gun if you want. You could even do a 308 gas gun. That'll be fine, too. So that's what I would do. I wouldn't go to the newest, sexiest round that, honestly, I don't even think is that sexy. So anyway, there's my answer for you, S. Olson. Lots of questions came in. I hope I'm not skipping tons here. Koala asked, my husband wants a 6.5 Creedmoor for hunting and long-range shooting, and is looking at the Browning X-Bolt Hell's Canyon long range. What do I think of that rifle, and do I recommend a scope? I think it's a good rifle. It's good for the price range. They make a decent rifle for sure. For scope, that's a lot of personal preference there. A lot of folks know here I'm a big fan of the Vortex scopes, but I think Leupold makes some great scopes too. The Leupold Variax 6s might be a good fit for that. So it's all about what your price range is, unfortunately, with scopes. Pick a price, then we can figure out the best scope for it. So
and for me, I mean, scope was middle of the road, which was the HST. I have two of them, and that's where I've started and been happy with them. I mean, it's a $500 scope, so I can't complain with the Vortex HST at all. It's been working really well. Yeah,
those are good scopes. They really are. Someone asked, how are the Federal Gold Metal burgers? They're awesome. They really are. I think it's just I'm a big fan of Sierra bullets, of course. They've done well for me, but those Federal Gold Medal burgers are awesome. 84 Roberto said, first time you didn't hear Ryan mention a Tika. I know their check didn't clear. That's why I didn't mention them. I'm just kidding. Tika doesn't pay me. The reason I didn't say Tika is because I didn't want to, I'm trying to say it a nice way, crap on somebody's point. If someone says, hey, I'm looking at this rifle, I think, my husband wants this rifle, I'm not going to tell her husband he's wrong and get something else.
That's not like you either. What's going on with you today?
I'm tired. And the Tikas are amazing, but that Browning Hell's Canyon for just a complete product is a pretty cool rifle, a little better stock, things like that. So now 84 Roberto's asking about the fix. So I'm going to make him go and listen to the beginning of the podcast so he can get the rest. So you're welcome, Koala. Have fun with that. So, all right, man. What else is going on with you? What are you buying next? What are you going to go shooting next? What's going on?
Well, I don't know what I'm going to buy next. I was really interested in your fixed rifle just because of the weight of it and backpacking it around and the stock folds, right?
It's so cool.
I've considered, I was kind of waiting to hear what you had to say about it. And I was hoping for a little more excitement from you than you gave.
Guys, it's just that I'm exhausted. I think people have seen it already. You can see it in my eyes. I am just pooped. I'm super excited about it. Trust me. I've been giddy about it. I've been showing it to everybody, taking pictures, having fun. I think, how about this? It's so cool that I am losing the motivation to build custom rifles. Because they're able to do an awesome gun, and they use the same barrels that I do for less than half the cost.
Now, trigger. We talked about trigger briefly early on the last episode.
Oh, yeah. The trigger's not as good.
But it's still pretty good.
The trigger and the Q is not as good. It's still pretty good. But you're getting, a decent, for the half the cost, it's awesome. I think they were really smart to go that price point. Between a Ruger Precision, Tika Tac, in the $1,000-$1,500 range, and then a full custom rig starting at 6,000. They jumped right in the middle. People can't get enough of them. I've had more than one person jokingly upset at me that I ended up getting a batch in and finally got them out when they've still been waiting on theirs. So people really want these things. It's for a good reason. They're pretty cool. Just the muzzle brake, I love the look of it. I love the ingenuity behind it. I love the little star on the front. You use a socket to take it on and off. I love they put the angled shoulder in front of the threads, keep the threads clean for silencers. Just cool stuff, except it doesn't work that great as a brake. So I'm thinking about taking mine off and switching it. I'm going on, I think I mentioned it on here, an Africa Plains game hunt here pretty soon. And I might take that. I think it might be pretty cool to slay some animals with that Q rifle.
Well, I'm considering it just because, one, the more I get into it, the funner it is to shoot the guns, and I'm looking forward to hunting with one of them. And I'd like to get to the point where I could feel comfortable shooting at 500 yards, to take a deer or something. I still have a lot to learn wind-wise. But my gun is heavy. There's no way I want to drag that thing around up and down the hills.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So the fact that that thing's so light is very interesting to me. So I'm happy to hear you say you like it. So I'm still looking at it.
Not a precision rifle, though. I mean, it's accurate, but I would not consider it because it's just lightweight. It's so light that any little movement makes the gun move a little bit. There's some recoil to it. What is a 6-pound rifle? It's pretty light. So if you wanted like a range queen, I would probably get, here it is, 84 Roberto. I'd get a Tikka TAC A1 in 6.5 Creedmoor and just sit there at the range all day and have a blast. You'd have a tack driving rifle, but that's not a carried around the mountains rifle. The Q, the fix is.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. For the application of hiking around and hunting with it, is very interesting to me.
So someone asked about the sockets on the fix not fitting. Use a 1/4-inch drive. For some reason, the 1/4-inch drive, 1/2-inch sockets fit just fine. So sorry, Jason, go ahead.
Oh, no worries. So yeah, I've actually considered getting rid of a couple of old rifles that we use for hunting that we just don't use anymore. They just sit, collect dust. Mm-hmm. We have like an old 7mm 08, and then I have that 1.7 mag and a couple other ones. Anyway, just thinking about getting the fix and making it my one-stop hunting rifle, because even with some of the new cartridges in 308, you could certainly take an elk down with some of those new ones. I mean, some of the new bullets are amazing. Without a doubt.
Modern 308 is the same as 30-06, my opinion.
Yeah.
Close enough to be rounding error. So now I'm going to go full bore Tikka on you. No, just get a Tikka, dude, and Bell & Carlson stock. It's going to be the same lightweight gun, and it's going to cost a fraction of what the other one does.
So which one then should I be looking at? You said the Tikka what?
Yeah, just get a Tikka Light, which is, I think, your cost for me is what, like $550, $525? So if everyone else is mad that that's what the cost is, that's because I have an FFL. That's not because of a special deal with Tikka. I go right to Lipsy's. My cost with free shipping and 2-day free shipping to my door is like $550. And you take the stock off on the stock that's on it and throw it in the trash can and go buy a Bell & Carlson Medalist stock, which is their lighter weight hunting stock. And I think that's $200 or under. And you have now a full length aluminum bedding block, like composite stock, just smooth bolt, lightweight barrel. You're going to be around a 5-pound rifle. For a traditional hunting rifle, it takes magazines. That's what I would do for a lightweight hunting rifle.
Now, the Tikka lightweight, is this still a T3 rifle? Or
yeah, it's just the Tikka T3 light. They even have a super light, which is even lighter.
I'm going to have to look this thing up.
Yeah, and it's guaranteed sub-minute of angle out of the box. If it's not, send it back. So, matter of fact, I have one. If you want it, it's yours.
What is it in 308?
Yep, 308.
All right, now we're talking.
Has integrated rail on the receiver, so you just get like some tally rings or something, go right to the receiver, and you're done, dude. You're well under $1,000 and have an awesome hunting rifle.
All right, we're gonna have to check that out because I do like the fact that the stock folds in half.
Okay, that's cool, and the Q is way sexier than one of those Tikkas, without a doubt. Okay. It's awesome. I just don't know if I would justify, if you're looking for just an all-around hunting rifle, taking that out and beating it up on the rocks because I don't want to beat mine up. There's already a couple, and I think you know this about me. I'm pretty rough on my guns. Like I'm all about trying to abuse them. Or this one already, I banged it up against something. I was like, oh, did I scratch it? Like it's a pretty gun. It is awesome. Seriously awesome. Yeah, what is it at? What's the retail? $3,000 MSRP.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. D-Man says, just put the Tika banner up on the wall behind you. We know you've got it. No, I'm actually horribly not planning this out. I should be contacting him and saying, all right, I'm not going to say anything with Tika until you guys pay me or hire me or do something like that. No, I am an unofficial Tika fan. I also Vortex fan, stuff like that. So anyway.
Oh, I got some thoughts on the 7mm 08.
Okay, what's that?
No. Someone's asking thoughts on the 7mm 08. So my thoughts on it.
Yeah,
it's an amazing bullet for my kids. For me, I mean, I've shot 2 deer with it, but no, I only shot 1 deer with it. But we bought them for the kids. We bought them all 7mm 08s, and they perform fantastic, and they don't kick at all.
Right.
That's my thoughts on it.
So I have a neighbor that has a 7mm 08, and he said his buddy was busting his chops at the range. He's like, well, it's supposed to be like a lower recoil round, for like women and kids and stuff like that. You need something that'll really reach out there, like my 6.5 Creedmoor. And when he's telling me the story, I started laughing, going, that 6.5 Creedmoor is smaller, right? Like the 6.5 Creedmoor is essentially a 6.5 odd 8. That's what it is. Right. It's a 308 neck down to 6.5. So a 308 neck down to 7mm is technically a little bigger cartridge. So anyway.
Yeah, I loaned it to a buddy of mine for his kid's first cow elk hunt, and they took down a cow elk with it, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great little round, but you're pretty much stuck to 2 bullet weights is all I can find at the store, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not a very versatile round at all.
That's one of those ones, if I had it, I'd shoot it, but I probably wouldn't go buy one.
Right.
Just for it. There's just, you can even, if you get into loading, you can load your 308s down light. I've talked about on here before doing the reduced recoil, reduced power loads. You can load 110 grain bullets in a 308 down at mouse fart levels if you want. So there's no recoil and it's still the same one gun.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a great starting rifle that the Twilight's dad got for the boys. And that's what they started deer hunting with. So, no, I think it's a great gun. I had got one for Twyla and Hunter to use, and they've both taken it out. They haven't killed anything with it yet, but yeah, great hunting little gun. I have nothing bad to say about it. For me, though, I prefer the 308 or the 7 mag.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, cool. Anything else you're going to cover tonight? Because I'm thinking about wrapping it up early because everyone's right. I'm exhausted.
Well, before you wrap it up, I wanted to get back into where we started with the spin drift.
Oh, yep.
Because we covered this forever ago.
Uh-huh.
So I couldn't remember off the top of my head, and I was going to flip through your book before the podcast, so I at least had an answer, and I didn't even get through that. So there was actually 2 answers. It was a minute or a minute and a half. Which one is it?
Depends on twist rate and where the bullet.
It's going to come. Here we go. Well,
I'd put at a full 1,000, especially with like 168 grain 308. I'd say a minute and a half at 1,000.
Minute and a half.
Minute at 900. 3/4 of a minute. Maybe half minute at 800.
And for those that didn't catch this early in the podcast, the bullet is always spinning to the right.
Mostly, yeah, unless you have a left-hand twist barrel, which I haven't seen, but yeah, it should be spinning to the right.
So should be adjusting to the left a minute to a minute and a half. And then you don't recommend messing with that until 800, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it might have an effect, but it's not really going to really kick in until then. So
okay, yeah, because that was the one thing that I totally spaced, and when I was cleaning my guns and just kind of going through the day of what happened, and I'm like, I totally forgot to do this. So yeah, like you said though, my wind calls, we were, holding 4 minutes at 900 on some of the wind gusts. So,
I believe it. I believe it for sure. What bullets again were you shooting at that distance?
The 168 grain nozzlers by Atomic.
Yeah. You need to start stepping it up. There's a huge difference in 7 grains. From 168 to 175, it performs so much better at distance, especially with the wind.
Yeah, I totally get that. But like we talked about with the AR, I had jumped up to the 75 grains and they performed worse than the 55 grains
Yeah.
out of my gun.
Well, 168s typically group the best. Most guys I talk to have the best groups at 168 grain bullets. But for long range, 175 is where it's at.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, the 168s I went with just because I could buy a box of 100 at a
Oh,
good
yeah.
price.
And there's nothing wrong with them. I'm just saying
Right.
now when you try and do that again, if you were in the middle of shooting and threw some 175s in, I wouldn't be surprised if that 4-minute went down to a 3-minute win call.
Interesting.
That's all.
Just that little bit, huh?
It's amazing. Yep. It's not just the overall weight difference. It's not necessarily the 7 grains. It's the 7 grains for that size, for that shape. Because yes, you're getting heavier, but it's within the exact same, diameter shaped bullet. Makes the difference.
Absolutely. Oh, did you get to try out your phone contraption for your rifle scope while you were out playing around?
No, I didn't, and I wanted to bring it. It's actually sitting right there behind me, and it's set up for that Vortex Razor. And on the fix, I put a much smaller scope. And I was heading out the door because I don't even have time to go. I'm like, I just need to go make a proper trip out of this. So I was grabbing stuff around the door, and I'm like, I don't have time to change the scope over. So, soon I'll get up there soon. I might even just put it on and film around the backyard, just see what it looks like.
Nice. Well, I'm hoping to get out this weekend, at least fire off a few rounds now that I have the metal targets all set up and everything and repaired the one. So hopefully I can get some new video through the new spotting scope. Should be a lot clearer, look a little bit better.
Let us know how it works out for you.
I'll let you know for sure.
All right, man. Thanks for joining us again. Sorry, everyone, for cutting it short, but I think I might do a Trigger Words podcast after this. I'm not sure because I'm so overdue on doing one. I might just go to bed. But either way, thanks for joining us again, Jason, and for everyone tuning in and in the chat. I really appreciate it, guys.
All right, buddy. Take care. Take care, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.